Before James Hetfield became one of the most recognizable guitarists in rock, he was simply a young musician trying to find a sound that felt completely his own. That journey would eventually lead him to Metallica, massive stages, and a guitar style that influenced generations. But behind that unmistakable sound was a side of his career that is easy to overlook. What happens when an artist becomes closely connected to an entire musical identity? And what does it take to keep evolving when millions of listeners already expect a certain sound? James Hetfield's story is not only about becoming famous. It is about discipline, creative pressure, constant evolution, and the decisions that shaped one of rock's most recognizable guitarists. Hetfield's musical foundation began with a strong interest in guitar and songwriting. From the beginning, rhythm was central to his approach. Instead of treating the guitar as simply a lead instrument, he developed a powerful rhythmic style built around precision, tight picking, and carefully constructed riffs. That approach would eventually become one of Metallica's defining characteristics. When Metallica began taking shape in the early 1980s, Hetfield and drummer Lars Ulrich developed a musical partnership built around energy and structure. Hetfield's role was larger than simply playing guitar. He became an important part of the band's songwriting, arrangements, and overall musical direction. His voice and guitar worked together to create an identity that audiences could recognize almost instantly. But that wasn't the full story. As Metallica grew, the expectations surrounding Hetfield grew with it. Every new album was measured against what came before. Every new guitar part could be compared with songs that had already become classics. For an artist who helped establish a particular sound, changing that sound could be just as challenging as maintaining it. That tension became especially interesting as Metallica entered different musical eras. The band experimented with production, songwriting structures, and arrangements, while Hetfield continued developing as a guitarist and vocalist. Some listeners wanted the familiar formula. Others were interested in seeing where the musicians could go next. Hetfield's guitar style also became more sophisticated over time. His rhythm playing was often deceptively difficult. What might sound simple to a casual listener could require extremely accurate timing and coordination. His ability to lock closely with the drums helped give Metallica's music its distinctive drive. Few people noticed what this led to. Hetfield gradually became more than a guitarist within a famous band. He became an example of how rhythm guitar could carry enormous musical weight. His riffs showed younger musicians that memorable guitar parts did not always need to be built around complicated solos. Sometimes the most powerful musical idea was the one that stayed perfectly connected to the rhythm section. There was also another important part of his evolution: songwriting. Hetfield's contribution to Metallica involved shaping riffs into complete musical structures. A guitar idea might begin with a single rhythm, but transforming that idea into a song required patience, arrangement, and collaboration. What happened next changed the way many listeners viewed him. Over the decades, Hetfield continued balancing several roles at once: guitarist, vocalist, songwriter, performer, and one of the central creative figures in Metallica. That combination created a distinctive musical personality. His guitar tone, picking technique, vocal delivery, and songwriting instincts became closely connected. Yet perhaps the most overlooked part of his legacy is how much discipline sits behind the music. Great performances can look effortless from the audience, but consistency at the highest level requires preparation and attention to detail. Hetfield's reputation was built over decades of refining those elements. His influence can now be heard far beyond Metallica. Countless guitarists have studied his rhythm technique, riff construction, picking approach, and songwriting. His style helped establish a template that remains recognizable in modern rock and metal. The lesser-known story of James Hetfield, then, is not really about a hidden scandal or a dramatic secret. It is about the demanding creative journey behind a musician who became an institution in his own genre. His greatest challenge may have been remaining an artist while also becoming a symbol of a musical era. And that is what makes his legacy so interesting. James Hetfield did not simply become famous and stay there. He continually refined the way he played, wrote, and performed while carrying the enormous expectations attached to Metallica. His story reminds us that behind every legendary guitar sound is a person still learning, experimenting, and evolving. The image may become iconic, but the musician behind it never truly stops changing.